Hey everyone, John Moran here again with another video about Google Ads. And today we're going to be discussing our favorite attribution model for conversion tracking. Now, there's a few different types of conversion attribution models that you can use. And essentially what an attribution model is, how does Google Ads attribute the campaigns to the conversion, and how does it attribute it, and when does it attribute it? And so before we go into the multitude of different conversion actions, attribution models, which will be a different video, today I just wanted to kind of explain to you our favorite one and why and how you can use it for your own benefit. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we're going to dive right into it. So today we're looking at a client's campaign, and obviously the client's name is going to be blurred out on the top left. But what you can see is some pretty cool things that are happening here. The conversions are split. They're kind of segmented. They're split into like thirds, quarters, halves, etc. And what this is the time decay attribution model at work. And what time decay is it splits between the first point of contact and the last point, which is a conversion. It splits that conversion and weights the amount, W-E-I-G-H-T, weight. It weights the amount towards the most recent campaign, ad group, keyword, ad that was used in order to convert the user. And why this is beneficial is you get to see what campaign is generating the interest and then what campaign is converting them. And the reason why we like this a lot is because if you're using first click or if you're using last click, and I think that's the most popular one that people use nowadays is last click. But if you use last click attributed conversion attribution models, what that means is that you may have two keywords, for example. This one would be, let's say red shoe, and then this one would be red, shoe with 7-inch heel velvet. I don't know I don't really know shoes that well. But what this means is that red shoe could be the first thing that people Google. And then the second keyword, the more specific keyword, may be where you're getting all of your conversions because they've been to your website, they memorize it, could be a brand name. Most often is brand name. But what you'll find is that if you don't know the interest generating keyword, if you don't know what they searched for first, so the first ad that they clicked on, the first reason why they came to your site, and you only look at, well, what did they use when they actually converted? If you shut off that keyword due to having no conversions, you're going to miss out on a lot of conversions, and you're going to actually miss out on a lot of audiences. You're going to miss out on a lot of those impressions, those clicks, the reason why you have such a good return on ad spend. So looking at it in a singular platform doesn't give you the full picture. It doesn't give you the full story about where they first come in, where they second visit, what was the third thing, and maybe what was the fourth one that they ended up ultimately converting if you're just looking at them in a silo. So you could potentially either, if you're using first click attribution, you could be not identifying why they're converting and not expand upon that. If you're using last click attribution modeling, you could be missing out what are they Googling first that got them to your website, or what campaign was generating the most amount of interest. Was it YouTube? Was it display? Was it a broad keyword, etc.? So using time decay shows you the full path. They first Googled this, then they visited this, or they visited the website because of this campaign, then they visited, two more campaigns, and then they ultimately bought by using the last campaign. So those kind of first and last campaigns are important to have enough ad spend to keep that story going, keep that flow going. And I'll share with you what I mean here. So smart shopping since June 1st to July 19th, I'm just kind of going the last 50 days. You can see that 2.8 million impressions, 16,000 clicks. We spent 6,800 and we only made 13,000 for a ROAS of 200%. So we've doubled the money, but it's after you think about costs and hard costs and all that kind of stuff, you could be close to maybe even losing money. But the account overall has a 426% ROAS, which is good. The client needs about at least 250%. So we're in goal, and when you look at this, you can see they're splitting between this campaign and then this campaign and this campaign, and they're kind of divided up and split up in conversions. And why is that? And why are you spending so much money on the smart shopping campaign without a great return? This other campaign here called Return Search, which is essentially the brand name, but we call it Return Search for a reason. I'll tell you why here in a moment. But if you look at it, why are you spending so much money in a campaign that's not meeting the goal? And here's the reason: because of time decay. Remember, the weight of the conversion is given to the last point that a user interacts with in your campaigns. It gives that weight to that campaign. So it's going to look like this campaign is performing really, really well. But when you dive into it, what you can see is that if you go into the attribution model, and you look at the kind of path analysis, well, 38% have at least 2 interactions. That's a clue number 1. And then you look at the top paths, and then you look at a filter that says the path length is more than 1. And you open this up here to 500. What you can see is that the smart shopping campaign is, either 2 visits here and 43 sales. Smart shopping, then they Google the brand name. 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 If I go down further, it's a very similar story. You can see how much smart shopping is the first point of. Let me go back down a little further here and grab the next one. You can see how smart shopping is most often what means a return search. So this is the campaign I'm interested in. What's first initially bringing them to the site? Great that they're Googling the brand name and then ultimately converting. That's awesome. I want that to happen. It means that brand recognition is going up. But what was the first thing that people Googled? Or what was the first point of entry into the site before they spent money? You can see that in smart shopping. So it's not technically true that the ROAS is 199. It's more like the ROAS is actually, in the 400 range. But since they're coming back and Googling the brand name and buying, these are first users to the site. They haven't been there before. The first time they visit the site wasn't by just simply Google the brand name. They used one of our outbound ads. So this is saying, hey, this is what's generating the interest, smart shopping. And then they go to the website, they like it. So they say, you know what, I'm going to buy one of those products. And they Google the brand name and they come back and they buy. Well, if I was just going to say this is not performing, I'm going to shut this off. What you'll see is that the return search campaign will start to go, it'll start to take a dive. It'll start to take a dip because we're not generating that interest anymore. And we're not seeing exactly where that's coming in from. And so when you look at overall, say, well, how do you know? How do you really prove that? Well, when we started with this client, I think it was back in October. So I'm just going to go September, and we'll go to the end of June, for example. Here's what's interesting. When you look at the return search campaign, which is a brand name, you don't get brand activity starting to increase over time for nothing. You get this sort of growth of people Googling that brand name because you have been impressing people with the ads. It's not that you're simply just adding more ad spend. We're pretty much maxed out in the brand campaign. We can't spend any more money. But when we're always maxed out and you see that growth, that means that more people are searching for that brand names. More people are getting engaged with the brand. They're finding out about it through the smart shopping campaign, going back and Googling it. And the cool part about this is something that you can see it over time. As we start to increase the costs of the smart shopping campaign, we started to see everything start to rise. So going from spending $348 and making $2,300 to spending $1,300 and making $6,000, you can see how it's starting to scale pretty well. And this hasn't been a full year yet. It's getting close to a year, but being able to take that campaign to that type of growth, that brand recognition. If you think about it, when we started, say we have 10 million impressions. 10 million impressions aren't just going to fall by the wayside and nothing happened. You're going to see that growth. You're going to see that brand recognition. You're going to see that return on ad spend. You're going to see that scalability. So only way that this is possible that I know, besides using data driven, which is for campaigns that spend 40, 50K and more, time decay gives you that full story to make yourself a more smarter. I can't even speak. A smarter marketer. It'll make you a smarter marketer to know where should I take the first, if you have $5, I'm going to take 2 and put it in the interest. I'm going to take 1 and put it in remarketing. I'm going to take 2 and put it in the return search. I'm going to take 1 and put it in competitors. It allows you to know exactly where you should put that money to continue that story, that customer value journey, to continue that to move forward with. So, and to find that attribution model, simply go into tools and settings, go to conversions. Right now, you can see that the only 2 that we're counting here is orders and calls. So if I go to orders, you see attribution model, time decay. The way you can select that, if you're using last click, just simply select on the attribution model and use time decay. I like it because it gives more credit to the clicks that happen closer in time to the conversion. So you're going to see what do they ultimately end up using to convert. Make sure that campaign's got enough ad spend in order to keep converting that users. But then look back and say, how did they find us and where can I start to scale? So yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully if you're using last click and you're like, I'm just kind of confused on exactly what's going on, or I can't make any sort of scalable moves, or each time I add ad spend, it just kind of falls off, or I'm shutting off things and I don't know why my campaign's failing, use time decay. It'll give you that full story. It'll give you that full view. This is John Moran Solutions 8. If you like what you're seeing here, please like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to be trying to get at least 1,000 1,000 subscribers so that we can go do YouTube lives where I can kind of answer your questions in real time. But if you have questions in the meantime, feel free to hop on our website, shoot me an email, or if you wanted to leave a comment, we can help you any sort of question they may have. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Bye.